All right. Hello. I am sorry that I have not been announcing these, but I tried to schedule this once and it went completely sideways. Now that I'm home, I'm going to do a tutorial with Keaton about how to hook this into StreamYard. So in the future, I should be able to stream with video and with pictures and all the good stuff. So, as you can see, I am back in Harlem, the Billy Joel right behind me there. And you are probably wondering, what's it like being back? All right. It is definitely like coming back to a third world country after being in China. That's just reality, man. Like even flying in, um, it's like when you go to Europe um, from America, or back in the day when you went to Europe from America. Um, you're seeing like kind of quaint, older architecture, like an older type of city than what you're used to. And that's part of the charm, right? So now New York, because it is arguably the greatest concentration of mid 20th century architectural and engineering marvels, the Brooklyn Bridge, the George Washington Bridge, Empire State Building. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. The same way you're flying into Rome or you're flying into London and you're seeing a medieval city and Americans going there probably in the 60s. That's the experience they would have had. They're coming from this ultra modern places like New York City or Los Angeles, and they're going to this quaint older place. That's what it's like coming from China to New York. Like you're looking at these bridges that are clearly from the 20th century, and you've been in a place where everything still has the sticker on it, like everything was built in the last like 20 years that you've seen. And yeah, like even flying over New York, like it's you can see the difference. Like you could see this is a city that's kind of frozen in the last century, and they haven't really done anything since then. Um, Driving along the highway, yeah, man. Like you don't see this in China. Like you don't see these messed up roads and construction cranes because they're not doing what we do here, which is basically like patch it up as it breaks and patch it up as it breaks. So that if you live in New York, you already know this, and this is true in a lot of American cities, maybe most. They're constantly doing road work because they never fix things properly. So they're just always sections of the road that are being worked on. Yeah, and you can see just these burns and retaining walls. Like it's just not like that there. So the contrast definitely struck me as soon as I was coming back in the cab. In terms of culture shock, at this point, I'm a pretty seasoned traveler. So I suspected this would be the case. Like, how many times are you going to go away to a very different country and environment and come back and be like, "Wow, my mind is blown"? Like, no, of course there's a shift, but not to the point that I'm like, wow, where I like, it's what I'm from here. Like, and I've done this a few times now. I've gone to India, like I knew what to expect. That having been said, has do I have a different perspective on what it all looks like? Yeah, sure. I mean, that's an example of it. Like New York looks to me now like an old, quaint city compared to, and that's the best possible interpretation. Another interpretation is it's kind of like the third world. But because New York is better funded and taken care of than a lot of the country, it's not as third world as some places you could come back from China to would be. So it's more like going from America to London would have been in 1965, right? Oh, look how nice. look how quaint. Oh, look at the old buildings. That's what it's like compared to China. I mean, China just basically over the last 30, 40 years ripped the country down and built a new country. That's literally what they did. Like they moved people out of the old crumbling housing and they moved them into these new sparkling high rises. So yeah, it's just like the price tag is still hanging on these buildings. So you come to New York and it's old. It's old and it's charming in a lot of ways, but it's not a modern city. America, after you've been to China, what you realize is America does not have any modern cities. Not in any meaningful term. Everything is aging and crumbling and old. Um I, to say something like this, you don't want to take in the wrong way. You get it from both sides sometimes when you say something like this. I mean this from the heart. I really miss black people, man. Like, it's very funny to me that so many of these American nationalists are racist because you understand, like, black Americans are one of the only things that make America cool. You take them away, basically you have all the worst white trash parts of Europe with like Cheese Whiz. Like, what do you think you have without them? Like, they are really the heart and soul of what makes America unique and interesting. Like, what Black Americans bring to the culture is one of the strongest arguments for the idea that America is something that has cultural value. Um, that is when I thought through like what I would miss if I moved to Asia or any place really. Yeah, man, I would miss Black Americans. I've lived in Harlem for almost 20 years. So, that for me is a big part of my experience. And yeah, man, as soon as I came back, first thing I did, I went to my favorite Greasy Spoon here in Harlem. That was the first meal I had. Jimbo's Hamburgers. That's my favorite Greasy Spoon in Harlem. And a black lady came up to me, church lady. I bless you for your smile. And she gave me, a ticket to heaven. Wow, man. Oh, wow. Would I miss that if I never experienced it again? I really would, man. That made me smile even more than I was already smiling. And had me a lumberjack, some pancakes, bacon, eggs. Listen, man, you might love Asian food, and I was a trooper. I made a point of eating the local food and not being the guy who's going to be eating like hamburgers every meal in Asia. You get sick of that shit, man. Like it's it's nice to have access to the food to which I'm accustomed after 4 months. This wasn't like a 2 week trip where I'm like, yeah, where are the burgers? It's 4 months, man. So yeah, actually, the very first thing I ate was the middle of the night. I got back maybe like 12:30, after midnight. But this is one of the nice things about New York. You can get food 24 hours a day. I ordered a smashed cheeseburger with a matzo ball soup. That is about as American and as New York a first meal as you could possibly get. And now what's also nice is I cook all my meals. Like I have a pretty strict diet in general. I haven't cooked a meal for myself in 4 months, so it was nice to start cooking again. Um, so yeah, also having worn, hang on, did I remember to bring these? Yeah. All right. I have worn nothing for 4 months but convertible cargo pants. That's it for 4 months. Now, this is pretty common for people who are doing long trips. Like when I did that group trip in China, everybody had those. Everybody had those because they make sense. You can wear them in different climates. They have a lot of pockets. And if you're a tourist, you probably need a lot of pockets. You got your passport in this pocket, you got your charger in that pocket. So, yeah, like even just putting on a different type of fabric felt so weird on my legs after only wearing that type of fabric for 4 months. I see somebody's asking there if I lost weight. Um, I did not, but I did not gain as much as I thought I did because remember, it's a lot of carbs, man. It's they eat noodles and rice, noodles and rice, noodles and rice. But I only gained 3 pounds. I thought I just kind of assumed it must be at least seven, uh, especially because I was eating way more calories than I eat at home. But they don't have all that shit in their food. You know what? I finally did go to KFC. There's video of that. I finally went to KFC. Um, and it tastes exactly the same as it does here, but the chicken pieces are like, man, half a third to half, maybe 40% the size of the chicken here because they're not shot up with Frankenstein hormones. They're not Franken chickens. So just because they don't have as much crap in their food, I didn't put on the weight I definitely would. If I ate that here, what I ate for 4 months here, I'd be like a balloon. I'd be like when I was doing Jimmy's show and I hadn't worked out for a year and a half because I messed up my knees. Um, but yeah, so not as bad. And also remember, I didn't take a day off. I was walking, hiking, walking, climbing, walking, hiking. So, that helped. But even so, it's definitely partly that they don't put all that shit in the food. So yeah, I've hardly left the house because that's another thing. Like I really I haven't had a day off. Now I keep saying I think you'll definitely see it when I start dropping the videos. I haven't this was not a vacation, man. If I wanted to take a vacation, this is not how I would do it. This was basically documentary work and research work the way that I did it. I filmed everything. I talked to people. I was there to learn, man. I wasn't there to relax, and I didn't. And I have a tendency to push things to extremes. Maybe in some ways to my benefit, in some ways maybe not. Maybe I could have taken a little more time to enjoy myself, but that's how I'm built. I was there. Back in my drug days as a teenager, my friends used to get really frustrated because to me, if you were going to drop psychedelics, it was a waste of time to me to just watch the walls melt. I felt like you have a few hours here where you have an altered state of consciousness. You have to use it to philosophize and think. And I could tell you that was not a lot of fun for people who had to be around me while they're trying to have a good time tripping. That's how I am. Like, okay, I've got a few months where I'm going to be in Asia. I'll probably never be in these particular countries again because next time I take a trip, I'm going to want to go someplace else and go someplace else, go someplace else. I'll probably never be back there again. So I want to do everything. I want to see everything. But does that make it like fun? In a way, like if you're a curious person who gets off on learning things, it's fun in a way, but it's not like relaxing. It's not a relaxing time. All that to say, I went out for that pancakes yesterday morning and I haven't left the house since because for me, the luxury now is not having to go anywhere, do anything, not be scheduled for a tour, not be scheduled to see a cultural site, not go to a temple, not go to a viewing spot. Like it's very nice just to stay in the house. I'm probably not going to want to leave for a month. Okay. So what other questions we got here? Oh, look, me shoot skeet. Hang on. Does this, am I able to put that on screen? All right. So I'm figuring out how to do this. I am gonna, now that I'm back, Keaton's going to show me how to hook this to StreamYard so I can do it for real. But me shoot skeet threw me $3. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, brother. I know a lot of people thought I was not going to come back. Think Keaton could have kept with you even through those narrow tunnels. Keaton's a big guy, man. Yeah, he would not have had a good time in those tunnels, especially the Coochie tunnels, because I went through the ones that had not been expanded for the Western tourists, like the original size. That was a bitch. That was a bitch. I had to go on my hands and knees, man. Like, I had problems with my knees. I mostly was able to do my own physical rehab. That's why I didn't work out for that period to let my joints heal. But even so, man, like going through those tunnels, you can duck walk it, or you could go on your hands and knees. My knees were not going to handle. I could not duck walk through that whole thing. So I went on my hands and knees. I was pretty scraped up. So no, I mean, if Keaton had to, he'd do it, but it would be uncomfortable for him. He'd leave the toilet seat up in your apartment. Yeah, I know a lot of people are surprised I came back. Um, Listen, if I were going to go live that expat life, I kind of had to come back anyway because I didn't make those kinds of arrangements. I would have to pack up my Billy Joel poster, right? I'm not leaving that here. That was his first show back after the pandemic. Um, yeah, I mean, really, like I didn't make the arrangements I would have to make to be an expat. Overall, I'm basically where Chris Hedges is with that, as long as they let me speak. Listen, I got a responsibility, man. I am blessed enough to have a platform. I feel like I owe something to the people who gave it to me, like, and most of them live here. Not all of them, but most of them live here. I feel like I gotta try to fight the good fight here, and hopefully in the end I make a positive contribution and do positive things. I can do things here, I think, that I can't do if I lived overseas. Like, I plan on doing a show in the fall. I feel like part of the problem with our age, with our time, is that everything's through this. And theater is the ultimate kind of intimate art form that brings people together in the same room, in the same space. I feel like we need that. So, these are the kinds of things. If I fuck off to, Europe or Asia, like I can't do that. And a lot of other things that I want to do. And I want to do on the ground reporting. In fact, I'm going to announce this here right now. Now, we never promise what we can't deliver. So I'm not making this as a promise. But tentatively, I thought about what my next trip should be. And I said, you know what? You're an American podcaster commenting on politics, and there's going to be a big election coming up. Hey, it would be an idea. Maybe you should travel in America. That would be maybe something that would be appropriate to the job you do. Maybe you should travel in America. I am tentatively planning now for my next big trip to be driving across America, probably during the election season of 2028. So like late 2027 into 2028. Yeah, of course I'd come to Texas. How you gonna drive cross country and not go to Texas? You almost can't avoid it. They built it that way. Cesar 78. I'm going to Shanghai in 2027. Welcome home, Russ. Shanghai's pretty amazing, man. It's pretty amazing. That was the first city I went to, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. By the way, that will be the fourth time I've driven cross country, but it will be the first time I've done it in over 20 years. So it'll be it'll be a little different. I'll be like Paul Newman in The Color of Money, trying trying to get my chops back, drive cross country now. Danny asked, "Did you go to Hong Kong?" I did. I did go to Hong Kong. In fact, I've got some show and tell. I'm going to do some show and tell with you guys. I've got some currency to show you, in addition to other things. Michael Ewan, please buy a cheap RV and wrap the DD logo on it. That's a great idea. Like with wood paddling and everything, like a 70s RV. Yeah, no, I do that. Well, the way I see people say what state they want me to come to. What I will probably do is the old Route 66. Like you can actually do it, and there are GPS programs that will take you on the original Route 66. I think I would probably do it like that. That would be very cool. Thank you, Michael Ewan, for the $2. I forgot to bring my new prayer bell in here, but nobody's given me that amount yet, so it's not an issue yet. Is it still paved? Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are sections of it that still exist. And there are like GPS programs that will take you right on there. They keep trying to sell this to me right now because I clicked on it in an ad, but it looks pretty cool. Um, I, but I mean, even when you take the highway, like it runs next to a lot of the old Route 66, if you've ever done it, and you have these abandoned diners and gas stations, you'll see them off there. It's really interesting. I actually have an unfinished novel where I describe that. It's pretty interesting. Hong Kong. Wait, Hong Kong is 15 years behind main Chinese cities like Shanghai and Shenzhen. Yeah. Um, I did a whole monologue about Hong Kong as a tale of two cities. I took a tour of the poor part of town in Hong Kong when I was there, where you got people sleeping in cages. Literally, they rent a bed in a cage next to a toilet, and that's how they live. Um, so it's pretty funny because this is the same people, right, with the same history, the same culture that had two different systems. And you look at Hong Kong, man. You hear people mostly just making up stuff about how poor people are in China. Not that there are no poor people in China, um, indicting their system. Okay, well, Hong Kong has incontrovertibly led to a system where you got people who rent a cage to live in. So is that an indictment of that system, of the, kind of Western capitalist model that they went with? I mean, if you're gonna talk about the one. So I have that's a whole video that I did that I want to drop. I will, like I said, I'm gonna drop Urumqi. I'm gonna drop an Urumqi video this week. That was pretty much done, but it can't it wouldn't upload back in China. Um, so yeah, the payment apps, I videoed that also to show you guys. So listen, on Sunday on Due Dissidence, I'm not going to do it on Thursday. I don't have time for it. On Sunday, I'm going to do like an hour-long special on China using some of the videos I'm talking about. I'm going to show you how the payment apps work and all that. Yeah, you want to talk about something else that's strange being back? I didn't touch currency I mean, I did in Southeast Asia, but for the 5 weeks I was in China, I didn't use cash. Like it never comes up. You wind up just using. Let me see. This didn't work when I was in China. Like it was washed out. Let me see if I can show you the Alipay interface. Could you see that? Yeah, no, you still can't, right? Oh, wait. Yeah, yeah, you can. All right. So you see how that works? You see the scan and you see the pay received there. Okay, so either you scan their QR or they scan your QR. See? Works like that. So I do have a video of that in action. But yeah, no, it's all like that. And this is definitely part of what I'm going to discuss. Like the Chinese system, to understand it purely through the lens of Marxism, is a mistake. It has as much to do with Confucianism and the history of political thinking. There's actually a treatise that was written 2,000 years ago describing basically, a society with very strict top-down control and how that would work and all the families being registered. It's incredibly modern for something that was written that long ago. So yeah, man, like, this is a 5,000-year-old civilization. Like, it's not just when they say socialism with Chinese characteristics, they mean it. It is arguably more Chinese than it is Marxist if you look at that history. So on Sunday, I'm going to be getting into that. And I think Westerners, Western radicals like myself, like a lot of people, I said this in my train video, you could not do what they did here. We're not Chinese people. We're not those people. We don't have that history. You could not find a people whose history of uh, political theory would better lend itself to a modern socialist effort than the Chinese people. They were perfectly made for this. We are perfectly not. And that does not mean that you could not figure out ways to deal with that. Richard Wolff might be right with his worker cooperative concepts, but the idea that the government has the mandate of heaven and they will lose the mandate of heaven if they're not virtuous, but your social contract as a citizen is to defer to the government, provided it rules with virtue and wisdom. That is such a completely different programming software to their civilization than our own, that if we discover an alien planet, they will probably not be more culturally different from the West than China is from America. So yeah, certain things they've done you should definitely look at, but you're not going to do it that way in America. So I'll talk about that on Sunday. Okay, from It's 1888. So cool. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. French Laundry. Glad you're back, bro. Thank you. Yeah, oh, hi from Vietnam. Thank you. So listen, as far as communist countries go, if I were going to live in one, I definitely vibed more with Vietnam. The thing with Vietnam is a commie in the streets and an anarchist in the sheets. Like, yeah, they have a communist government, but they have a very free society. You want to throw a dog, a goat, 6 kids, and 2 adults on a motorcycle and take off down the highway? Good luck, brother. Nobody's going to bother you. There's very little government presence in your life in Vietnam, and that is very different from China. So if I were going to live in one of those 2 countries, Vietnam, hands down, seemed like a lot more fun to me than China. That's not a knock on China, but it is a much more regulated society than Vietnam is. All right, so I never started calling myself Yao Ming. All right, so let me show you some of the cool stuff I have. All right, so currency. I saved currency from every place that I went. All right, so this is Hong Kong. This is from Hong Kong. That's Hong Kong currency. At this, and I will show the pictures when I figure out how to hook this to StreamYard with my man Keaton's help. So one of the cool things about the 10 note and the 20 note in China is they have these landscapes on the back, and I was at both of those places. This is the 3 Gorges here. And I believe this is a place in Yangshuo that I also went to, and I took pictures with these bills there. This is, of course, Vietnam. Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh. They play that when you're flying in on the plane, when you land at the airport. Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh. It's pretty funny. Okay, I hope I am not wrong. No, not, yeah, right. Yeah, so that's Cambodia. That's Cambodia. And finally, and again, I hope I'm not wrong because I have a lot of stuff that I brought back. I believe that is a bill from Thailand. I'm almost positive. One of the interesting things there is if you look at the writing on all these bills, their writing is based in Sanskrit. It is not until you get to Vietnam. Let me see. Do you have any of that on the bill itself? Yeah, Vietnam, because they were occupied by it's not on the bill, but because they were occupied by the Chinese for 1,000 years and they're closer to China, their writing system is based in the Chinese characters. But all the other 3 countries I went to, their writing system looked similar because they were all based in Sanskrit. All right, so those are some bills that I brought back. All right, so this is an easy way to show Keaton what I got for his kids. All right, so that's one for Keaton's kids. That's from Urumqi, Keaton's kids. Obviously, the red panda was from Chengdu. And, either This is all about how Keaton frames it. So I got this is if you saw the last segment I did before I went into China about Apopo that trains rats to save people from the unexploded ordnance that we kindly left them as a parting gift. So I got this as one of their hero rats, as they call them. So if Keaton frames it right, the kids are going to fight over this one. If he frames it wrong, they're going to go, I don't want the rat. So that's on him. But Keaton, that's what I got for your kids. Okay, so all right. Now this is a mystery gift for our friend Tusker, because I know she's going to watch this, but I'm not going to reveal what this is. All I'm going to say is it's a portrait. It's a portrait. But for kindly doing the show, which she prefers not to do, for coming on, and for a Sunday no less, which is a lot of exposure, I got her something very nice there that I will be sending to her. Once she gets it, maybe we'll have her come on and she will show it to you. But that one is a mystery gift. Okay, well, what were the? Oh yeah, right. So that's up there. All right, so this I got in Cambodia. I don't know if you can get this, but this I would highly recommend. This is Van Noth, right? Van Noth. He was a painter, and the only reason he survived the Khmer Rouge, they put him in the infamous S-21 prison, where out of approximately 20,000 people that went in there, I think 12 survived, or known to have survived. He survived because he could paint, and they were trying to do the whole Mao Zedong cult of personality thing. So they wanted artists to create these glorified paintings and sculptures, and that kept him alive, man. And this is a book of his personal account. There's some of his paintings in here, actually. They're really horrifying. Let me see. Yeah, so these are like paintings of what he experienced there with the torture from the Khmer Rouge guards. So this is an amazing account. Like, it's a very straightforward account, but it doesn't need to be Steinbeck. What he's describing is pretty compelling, and straightforward narrative probably works best. This is made. That's why I got it. This was made by victims of Agent Orange. The victims of Agent Orange, that's into the 4th generation now. This is made from seashell. And when you go to buy this, the shop, they're actually, the Agent Orange victims are sitting there making these. So you can see exactly how they make them. You got people into the 4th generation now, man. They're blind, missing arms, missing legs. So this was a program in Vietnam where they give them a vocational training as artisans to be able to make things like this. So I bought a couple of those from them.